The village of Alara was dying quietly. Its wells coughed mud, crops bent under sunfire, and the nights were so still that even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Aaron, the young mechanic from the southern ridge, had stayed behind when most had left. He was too kind or too stubborn to abandon the land that had raised him. Every day he patched pipes that leaked, mended roofs that sagged, and carried water from the last working spring 3 miles east. The others called him a fool for staying, but Aaron had never known how to turn away from a cry for help, no matter how faint. It was at dusk, on one of those water runs, that he first saw her. An old alien woman lay sprawled beside the trail, her robes tangled in thorns, silver hair caked with dust. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight trapped beneath glass. Aaron dropped his water cans and ran to her. Hey, are you all right?" Her eyes fluttered open. They were too bright, pools of amethyst fire. "Do not touch me, human," she whispered, her voice thin yet commanding. "The air burns." "You're burning up," he said, ignoring her warning. He tore his sleeve, dipped it in his canteen, and pressed it to her forehead. The moment the cloth touched her skin, a strange pulse shot through his arm, soft, electric, like touching thunder wrapped in silk. The old woman's breathing steadied. "You shouldn't have done that," she murmured. "Kindness comes with a price." Aaron smiled faintly. "Then I'll pay it." He lifted her, carried her back to his cottage by the ridge, and laid her on his bed. He didn't sleep that night, tending her fever, changing her bandages. She muttered in her sleep, ancient words that bent the air around her. When dawn came, she was gone. Only the scent of silver dust and crushed jasmine remained on the pillow. That day, strange things began happening. His well refilled overnight. His wilted plants stood tall again. And the broken generator in his shed, dead for years, hummed back to life on its own. Aaron stared, half in awe, half in fear. He thought of the old woman and the shimmer in her eyes. That night the air outside grew warm and heavy, humming with unseen wings. The door creaked open on its own. She stepped inside, not old anymore. Her silver hair now flowed like liquid metal down smooth shoulders. Her skin glowed faintly under the lamplight, her robe now woven from threads of mist and starlight, yet her eyes, the same eyes, still burned with that violet fire. "You helped me," she said softly, her voice now rich and melodic, "and I have returned to repay the debt." Aaron froze. "You're a goddess?" "A monster, a lie," she finished, smiling faintly. "Perhaps all of them. I am Seductive, daughter of the twin moons, keeper of the wellspring that once fed your world." He swallowed. "I don't understand." "You will," she said, stepping closer. The floorboards creaked beneath her bare feet. "You gave me life when I had none left. In return, I shall give you what you desire most," he almost laughed. "What I desire most? You don't even know me." But Seductive only smiled. "You long for warmth. Not riches, not fame. Just warmth, a soul to touch yours." Aaron's throat tightened. How could she know that? Her fingers brushed his cheek, cool and soft like moonlit water. "Then take it," she whispered. He should have stepped back. He didn't. Her touch spread fire through him, gentle, consuming, endless. The walls around them blurred, melting into streams of silver light. The air filled with the scent of jasmine and rain. He wasn't in his cottage anymore. They stood on the edge of a vast lake under a violet sky. Twin moons rippled on its surface. Around them rose crystalline trees that sang with the wind. "This is my home," she said. "The well of origin? Every drop of life in your world once came from here." She turned to him, her eyes soft now. "You restored a dying goddess. Let me restore you." Aaron felt the weight of exhaustion he'd carried for years. The loneliness, the endless fixing of things that broke again the next day. All of it began to melt away. Seductive pressed her forehead to his. Light poured from her into him, beautiful, terrible, endless. He gasped as visions flooded his mind. Galaxies blooming, rivers of stars flowing through the dark, the first breaths of life whispering across barren worlds. It was too much. His knees buckled. She caught him, smiling sadly. "Too fragile, too human," she murmured. "Your vessel cannot hold what I am." Aaron's heartbeat thundered. "Then why give it to me?" "Because you reminded me what mercy feels like." Her lips touched his, and for a heartbeat he felt everything. The joy of creation, the ache of eternity, the unbearable tenderness of being alive. Then it all rushed out of him, draining like water from a cracked cup. He collapsed in her arms. When he woke, it was morning again. The goddess was gone. The lake, the moons, the music, all gone. He was back in his cottage, sunlight slanting through the window. For a moment he thought it had been a dream. Then he saw the mark on his wrist, a faint crescent glowing beneath the skin, pulsing softly with violet light. He staggered outside. The world had changed. The fields around his home were green again. Flowers bloomed where dust had lain. The air was cool, alive, humming with energy. His neighbors, long gone, had begun to return, drawn by rumors that Alara was living again. They asked him how it had happened. He told them the truth. He didn't know, but each night when the moons rose, the mark on his wrist would glow, and he would hear her voice in the wind. Weeks passed. The crops grew tall. The wells overflowed and laughter returned to Alara. Yet Aaron felt weaker with each passing day. The glow on his wrist spread, climbing up his arm, tracing his veins in silver. Sometimes he'd see her reflection in the water, Lysithia's face, serene and sorrowful. "Why am I fading?" he whispered one night. Her voice drifted through the air. "Because I gave you part of my essence. Life answers life. The more your world thrives, the more it takes from you." He clenched his fist. "Then take it back." "I cannot," she said gently. "It was freely given." He laughed bitterly. "So my reward is to die while everything else lives?" "No," her voice softened. "Your reward is to be remembered. Every blade of grass, every breath of wind will whisper your name. The world you saved will carry you." He sank to his knees, tears spilling down his face. "That's not what I wanted." But the wind only sighed through the grass, warm and gentle, as if brushing his cheek. On the final night of summer, the villagers found him sitting beside the well he had once dug himself. His eyes were closed, his hands resting in his lap. The mark on his wrist had spread across his chest, glowing softly beneath his skin. They thought he was asleep until they touched him. His body was cold, but the ground beneath him pulsed faintly, alive. When they buried him under the old willow, the roots shimmered with silver light, and the water of the well turned clear as crystal. From then on, no drought ever touched Alara again. Years later, when children played near the well, they would sometimes see a woman standing by it at twilight, silver-haired, glowing faintly in the dusk. She never spoke. She only smiled and vanished when the moons rose. The elders would tell them, "That's Lysithia, the moon goddess who loved a human," and the children would ask, "What did she give him?" The elders would smile sadly. Everything, but in the unseen places, beyond the stars, where gods dream and galaxies breathe, there was another truth. In the lake beneath the twin moons, a figure knelt by the water. Lysithia reached into the rippling surface, her hand trembling. From the depths, a reflection rose, not her own, but his. Aaron's smile, warm and mortal, lit the mirrored world around her. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "You warmed me." The reflection smiled faintly. "And you kept yours. You saved them." She closed her eyes. "You're fading again." "I was never meant to stay," he said softly. "But maybe that's what makes it beautiful." Lysithia pressed her fingers to the water where his hand would be. For a moment their reflections touched, and the whole lake shimmered with light. When the ripples faded, she was alone again. But her tears, silver and shining, fell into the water and became stars. And far away in the night sky above the living world, those stars burned brighter whenever someone whispered his name. Aaron, the man who helped an alien granny and woke the heart of a goddess.